Whenever you're ready.
Okay, so my name's Ricardo, and I'm going to tell you about one of the worst days of my life. The day was December 17th, 2011, and it was a Saturday, and I need to tell you about my job, so you understand what I'm going through. So my job is, I'm in office support. I'm office support for a rehab center, so I basically do all the boring stuff. I fax stuff, I file stuff, I copy stuff, I write stuff. A lot of boring stuff. I have the most boring job in the world, but it pays well, so I do it. So this day I was covering for a coworker because I don't work weekends. So she calls me up and she's like, "Ricardo, can you cover for me?" And I was like, "What day?" She's like, "Tomorrow." And I was like, it was already like 9 at night, and I already had plans that night. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, whatever. It's Saturday, nobody's there. I could just come in regular clothes, relax. So I show up, and my boss is there, right? And my boss never works on weekends, so it's weird because I show up and I'm in my regular clothes. I hadn't planned for my boss to show up. I'm not dressed in slacks. I'm not dressed in a tie or anything. I show up, my boss is there, and she looks at me and she's like, "Casual today?" And I go, "Yes." And then she's like, "All right, get to work." So I get to work, I go into my office, and I sit down at my desk, and then she hands me one little binder thing for a patient profile. And it usually takes me an hour to fill these out, copy it, fax it to everybody that needs it. And I usually do about 3 or 4 of these during my shift. But it was weird, we had a bunch of people come in that day, so I had 13, 14 of these little binders. It was stacked up, it was ridiculous how much work I had to do, and I had to do it. It's not like you can, push it to the next day. So it's and then I start on these things, and then she's just looking over my shoulder the entire time, "Why are you doing it that way?" And I'm like, "Well, this is the way I was taught." And she's like, "Well, who taught you that?" I was like, "Well, Randy taught me." And she's like, "Huh, okay." She's just watching me do it the entire time, and I'm like this. And I'm writing stuff down, and I'm just looking over my shoulder, and she's just doing this. It's annoying. And then just so happens that day was the day that the CEO was going to visit our facility, because my company has we have 12 facilities throughout California, and the CEO visits one of them for a year. And it just so happens that today he's visiting our facilities. Damn it. She knew he was going to come in. My coworker knew he was going to come in. So that's why she called me, because she knew there was all this work, and she knew the CEO was coming. So I was like, damn, she screwed me over. I was all right, I'm doing my job, and the CEO comes behind me, and he's just watching me do it, the same as my boss. And she's saying, "Why are you doing it that way? It's taking longer this way." And I said, "Well, this is the way I'm taught. I have to taught to do it right. This is how I'm gonna do it." And it's the CEO, so he's he's kind of taken back at how I'm responding to it. And I'm like, "Well, I don't mean any disrespect, but this is how I was taught." And then he's like, "All right, whatever." So my my boss comes up behind me, and she's just like, "Well, the CEO came up to me. He's pissed off at what you're doing." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, And she's like, "Well, you better get back to work." And I said, "Okay, you know what? I'm going to finish this, and then I'm just going to go home." I said, "I don't care if I don't get my 8 hours. I'm just going to finish this, and I'm going to go home." So I wrap things up, and it's 3 o'clock. I finish before I'm supposed to, and then I start to leave. My car's not turning on. I was like, "Oh, damn." So I go to my coworker, and I ask him, can you help me jumpstart my car? And he's like, "All right, yeah." We go to his car, and he puts it in, and he connects the starter cables or jumper cables or whatever, and all of a sudden his car starts sparking up. I don't know what's wrong with his car, but his car starts sparking up. My car doesn't turn on, his car doesn't start sparking up. So somehow the battery, the little plugs on the battery melted out, and we ended up having to go buy a new battery for his car so it would start. And that was $150 for his car battery, because his car's I don't know, it needed like a special battery. So I ended up spending $150 for a battery, and I ended up making less than what I spent. So that